What's up, adventurers? Today we're going to be watching a video talking about the only pull advice you'll ever need, and essentially the waifus over meta advice is the idea. And I personally think you should pull for whatever is the meta, but that the meta should be the most interesting characters to play always. It should always be like the characters that you want to play naturally, and that's really the game's job. The game's job is to introduce characters that you want to play. So I mean these things should go hand in hand naturally, but it's not always the case. So let's listen and put our thinking caps on. You know, put them on, everyone. Put them on.
This video is not for whales and dolphins. It's for you, because you are just like me. Average Gamer here, and today it's time to discuss the ultimate pulling guide. The guide that will always apply to every gacha game, but particularly Zenless Zone Zero. In the immortal words of Rudius Greyrat, money can't buy waifus. Well, I guess in the case of Zenless Zone Zero though, money can in fact buy waifus. So I'll say it, at the top of the video, here's the advice. You should always pull for your favorite waifu or husbando when we eventually get some husbandos.
I think that's a bit too vague of a statement. I think you should pull for the hottest waifus and husbandos, and only the hottest.
Forwards though, I'm going to refer to waifus and husbandos as just characters.
This requires a refined taste, by the way.
Else I might be at risk of dying of cringe. Before we move on, and I'll explain to you why you should always pull for your waifus or husbandos.
We already know he's talking from an outside perspective, because he says like it's of cringe. Like I get it. It's funny to rag on people for like waifus. Like it's funny. It's cringy by nature, but like there's no purpose to like be like oh I'm above this. You know, like everybody else. You know, waifus and husbandos, but I care about the gameplay. You're not better than us.
I mean characters. I'm going to quickly mention that this video was supposed to be sponsored, but it's actually fallen through. So if you are interested in sponsoring me, then please reach out on my business inquiries email that you can find on my channel. Now you might think, haha, funny joke, internet man. I'm not joking. Here's where I tell you to ignore anyone talking about the meta in Zenless Zone Zero, including me. Now, I like thinking and talking about what I think might be strong, and I'll usually try and base this talk on the information.
Here's what I think he's going to say. I think he's going to say that no matter what, play what you want because you can clear the content. So as long as you enjoy what you're playing, then it doesn't matter. And I've heard it before. A lot of people say it. People say it in other games too. It's not just gacha games, but I think it misses the point. If you're playing the game and you're not able to enjoy it as much because there's so many people who can clear it quicker or have cooler play styles and aren't the waifus or characters that you like, then it feels bad.
That we have on upcoming characters and experience from other gacha games. But it's impossible to know anything for sure until the characters are out. And even then, a character's true value may not be clear until much later in the game's lifecycle. For Zenless Zone Zero, that may potentially be when there's a bit more of a pattern around what appears in Shiyu defense, or some agents may be almost requirements to get the best out of future attack or anomaly agents, for example. But as we're a few days into patch 1.1 and only on our third limited character banner, we just don't know enough about the game yet to make those kind of sweeping statements. Due to that, let's act.
But at the same time, you can make some generalizations that are for your overall betterment. For example, if you pick a character like Zhu Yuan or Qingyi, or if you pick a character like Jane Doe, you can kind of in general know what teammates to build around them. While some of the side teammates may change, the staple characters very much you could build a team around them. So there's not too much risk with that.
actually try and take this idea seriously for a minute. The plan to pull for whatever character you want because you deserve it, and you should just pull whoever the heck you want. Now,
It sounds like loser mentality to me, to be honest. I didn't get my pull, so so just get the one you want, you know. Some gachas you do have to be selective. Like you have to be selective about what you pick. Like you can't pick everything.
in order to make sure you don't gimp your account and make poor financial decisions, you should consider who your favorite characters are and then who they work well with, because you want to make sure your teams are somewhat functional, so there is a small amount of planning that's going to go into this. Now, you should be focusing most...
I truly believe that, you know, most teams and most gachas, you should have one staple character, and then the other characters should be basically accessible. Like the side characters, essentially, your supports and that fill the rest of the team should be pretty much accessible. Like having characters that synergize with the staple character being in the pool, I think is important. Having characters that don't do that just feels bad. It feels like they're trying to make you backfill with characters that you don't enjoy. So having characters like, as much as I like Corrin, if Corrin's not a team member that synergizes well with Zhu Yuan, then why is it there? So
mostly on building up two teams in Zenless Zone Zero for both halves of Shiyu defense with some flexibility. So maybe an extra character or two to swap in to get that type advantage, which really means that you can only really pick two favorite characters and then build the teams around them. So let's say you're really into Zhu Yuan. Firstly, who isn't? Secondly, we'll start to think about what characters work well with her. Now, at the moment, it seems that Zhu Yuan has...
From what I've seen, it's basically Nicole, like obviously Nicole, and then Qingyi if you're not free to play, and then Anbi if you are free to play. And I think Resinabu if you're not free to play, and then Devil Boo if you can't do that one.
As teams that are built around maximizing her personal damage. And as the only other ether support agent who buffs ether damage, we have Nicole. So Nicole should be on her team. Then you kind of just have to make the call as to whether you prefer Anbi or Qingyi as the stun agent, because Zhu Yuan can output much higher damage when the enemy is stunned. Anbi's major plus is that she's free, and Qingyi's is that she'll be able to enable Zhu Yuan to do more damage because of her stun damage buff. But that's talking way too seriously for right now. So what I really want to say is, which one do you think is cuter? Because they kind of do a very similar thing, and then let that be your decision. Before we move on to the second team, this is your reminder that you're probably...
I guess. Like, which one do you think is cuter? I mean, it's more of like, in a sense, like, how much do you want to optimize it? Do you want to optimize it to the point where you're able to do everything easy? Or do you want to do things real easy?
not subscribed. So please consider doing so, as it really helps support.
By the way, subscribe to my channel while you're at it too. We are currently about the same ratio. He is about like 90% not subscribed. I would appreciate it. ShawnSetGO, YouTube. Thank you.
Small creators like me. Thank you so much for all the support I've received so far. I really appreciate it. Then you can apply the same logic to choosing your second team. And at this stage of the game, that may look like, well, I'm going to pull Jane at the end of 1.1 for my second team, and it seems like maybe the defense agent Seth is going to function as a good support for her. Then I think I'll need another good anomaly agent for some disorder happenings, and looking forward to potentially Bernice in 1.2 could work quite well with her, depending on her kit. Or I could get Grace from the standard banner, or potentially losing 50-50s, or if I'm getting towards the 300 pull mark for my free character, I could choose Grace, so that's an option too. In this case here, we can also start to think about who we prefer from a personality perspective for the second anomaly agent on the team, which is kind of a bit of a trump card, because if you can include 2 or more characters that you love on a functional team, then that just frees up more spots for you to put characters in that you really like. And this is where we get to the real meat of the video, because if you can make a team where all of the characters appeal to you, then that's it. You win. You've beaten the game. Because the way that...
I'd say most of the time you'll have like a team where at least 2 appeal to you. At the beginning, Zenless Zone Zero did feel like all teams had to have like Piper in them. or like kids in them, and that wasn't my favorite. But I think like the introduction of, you know, like Ellen, you know, that changed a lot. So
that the house wins in gacha is it gets you to spend large amounts of money if you want all of the characters. Then you're probably going to have to be okay with doing that, spending the large amount of money, or being extremely lucky. But for us, average luck gamers that don't want to spend money or lots of money, then we have to be happy with what we get. And I guess the reason I wanted to make this video
with what we get,
is for three reasons. It's threefold. It's firstly because people should feel empowered to spend their polychromes in whatever way they please. And if I say that I think a character is mid, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pull them. If you like them, you should ignore me and just...
I will say I do sympathize with content creators who make videos who like don't pull for this character, pull for this character. But I think what a lot of people miss in those is they don't say like who they're speaking for. They'd be like, don't pull for this character, but they're skipping the part where they go, the reason why is because if you play like to the extreme meta, you won't be able to perform the numbers that you're wanting. But for like 90% of everyone else, you know, it's fine. So I think that the people who make those videos, it's fine. I just think you need to clarify who you're speaking for. That's all.
Do what you want. I'm going to continue to say whatever it was I was going to say. And the other reason is if you want to remain a free-to-play or low-spend player, you should appreciate what you have and try and create the most fun out of the luck that you're dealt. And for me, that is the fun of the gacha game. I don't want to teach you how to suck eggs, as I think for the most part, most players do appreciate what they have and they play around what they get. I mean, what else are you playing for? More characters, you say? More waifus? Well, yes, there's always going to be hot new characters, and those characters are always going to look cool. But if you can have that one moment of joy when everything is working pretty well together and your team feels good,
But it does feel pretty good when you get the hot new character right when they come out. It does.
One brief moment, you forget about farming polychromes for the new hotness and you just enjoy the moment. Then congratulations, you just reached gacha nirvana. And the last reason is that I tend to try and mention this on my who should you pull style videos, but I wanted to have a video to point to say this is how you should spend your polychrome. And it's not listening to Average Luck Gamer or anyone else. It's listening to yourself. Which of the characters appeal to you? Because you should get them and then plan your teams around that. And that is going to keep you playing the game longer than playing around some meta that will probably look different in a few months' time. Because you'll look forward to getting on the game and playing with Chingy or whoever it is. And this isn't to say that I believe units will be power crept really quickly. It's more to say that as we adapt more to the higher levels of Shiyu defense and the newer endgame modes, and potentially other things to come, we may find entirely different ways of playing the game. So hopefully this was a mindset refresh. I think going into playing these types of games, you can lose sight of the importance of playing for yourself and ignoring parts of the meta. Should you still try and build coherent teams?
I disagree in that finding the new metas or finding the metas or stuff that's like hidden that people didn't see at first. I think people have it pretty much solved within like the first week or two of the character being released. However, new characters and new mechanics are introduced that can bring like meta sort of back to the top, you know, like, or like new characters can bring old metas back.
Yes. But at this early stage of the game, you probably shouldn't be planning things out too far advanced in terms of your team directions, as it's impossible to say what's to come. Ultimately, you should prioritize who you like most over any kind of meta discussion, and if you do that, you'll enjoy the game way more. And if you continue to play the game for a few years, even as a free-to-play, you'll end up with more characters eventually than you know what to do with, and you won't even be able to squeeze all of your favorites onto your two teams. In terms of me, I'm just starting patch 1.1 now. I'm really enjoying the story stuff so far, and it doesn't matter even if Jane Doe is a terrible meta pick, because I built my
trying to find new reasons to quit. No, I don't think right now. I'm still playing quite casually, so I'm not necessarily worried about it. But I think videos like this that have like, hey, you know, like hang in there. I think it's always good. I think it's always good to like, hey, don't get too lost in the sauce when it comes to pulls. You know, it's not it's not everything, you know. Ultimately, even though Nicole, like, I don't enjoy her playstyle, Nicole's like original waifu, and so like that's a free character. So it's like, I think as long as the content is clearable with the, I'd say the least strong but still good synergy, like the weakest synergy team, I think it's okay for the most part.
Entire brand around Ju Yuan and her cake, and now I feel like,
yeah, man, people need a warning. I need like a trigger warning. Dear Lord, my heart be still.
and her cake, and now I feel like I have to get
It
Jane.
jiggles.
I'm definitely gonna pull for her because you know what, internet? I've realized I'm an arse man.
People are gonna want to fuck that rat. Unhinged.
Lastly, for the real ones who hang out to the end, apologies for the delay on this video. I did update you guys on the Discord, but it's just been kind of busy recently and not left me much time to make content. But hopefully I'll be able to post slightly more consistently over the next couple of weeks. If you're interested to hear my thoughts on Caesar and Bernice, the new Agents for 1.2, then check out the video that shows up just now.
Average Luck Gamer, subscribe to him for sure. Great video, great opinions. I think he had a lot to add. That wasn't just talking about like, well, you should pull for this, and I think ultimately that's what he's saying. You know, like, you know, pull for what you want. Don't get too like caught up by it. You know, it's not everything. But at the same time, I think he has some solid points too. So I think it's great. So cheers to that. But I hope you liked the video. If you think you're gonna be pulling for new characters as they come out, or if you're just kind of like, you know, I like the characters I have, and I don't think I'm gonna pull just yet, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one. And yeah, peace.